right. Welcome everyone to Flanks oh 06 channel here, doing another Q&A stream here for the Tanares Adventures Ultimate Campaign. I guess before we jump even into the introduction, can we have a quick audio check? Are we good here? This is Adam from Forteller. We'll check his audio.
Yeah. Hopefully everybody can hear me just fine. I'm talking as loud as I probably would be talking.
Hopefully someone can comment and let us know we're good. There's like a 10-second delay or so.
Yeah, no worries at all. I mean, it's kind of one of those things, different technology.
Yep.
Gotta make sure it's all working together.
Nobody's saying anything. Oh, no. Here we go. Very good. He's a little low. Adam is kind of low. That's what they're saying.
Got it.
All right. Perfect. Thank you, everyone. Awesome. Appreciate it. So, yep, like I said, Adam here from Forteller. Why don't you tell us what your role is at Forteller?
Sure, you got it, man. So basically my role at Forteller is being the audio director. I make sure that everything kind of gets put together and done. My position has sort of changed since the beginning. In the beginning, I did a lot of the sound design and editing on top of the roles that I complete now, but nowadays it's really more of a overseer of all the projects and casting director. So I make sure that the audio kind of is recorded before going out to the sound designers. We have some wonderful sound designers on the team now that largely outpace what I'm capable of, but that's kind of the point, right? Is you try to hire people that are better than you, and in this case, we were able to do that. But my position kind of shifted, and now I basically oversee the projects and make sure that the lore and the tone and stuff like that is really, considered from game to audio, and that's really kind of the focus, I think, of Forteller in general. So that's my position.
All right, cool. Well, thank you. So before we kind of jump into the main topics and everything that we're going to cover today, let's quickly look at the campaign page and kind of see where we're at for everyone. So you guys should be able to see it here. We are at 1,132,798. And I believe one of our stretch goals is coming up. I think it's 135. Yep. So the Kemet Lord miniature Kildrolli, which I'm sure Adam can tell us more about pronunciations once we get to that, is pretty close. Is only about less than $4,000 away there. So hopefully we'll unlock this one pretty soon. And definitely one of those ways is if you haven't gotten Forteller yet, you can go to your pledge, go to the manage pledge option, then click, accept your pledge, and then there's an add-on section after that, and you can add on Forteller there. But let's just go into what is Forteller here.
All right. So there's a large community of board games out there, and I know that some of you probably have heard of audio narration before. The way that Forteller is described is we are an audio narration company. Well, we're actually a technology company that does audio narration for board games. So our whole focus is really creating an application that can be a central hub for all of these narrations that you may have. And we're really trying to kind of push the efforts of making sure that you only have that single application, that single source of information kind of on your phone, so you can just find the narrations when you want to. But that being said, what we do is we take all of the amazing board game content out there that's written by so many people, and we put it into our sound designers' hands, and we make sure that all of the the background music is completed, all of the different voices have their own different voice, And we have various different projects, but generally speaking, we try to bring 100% cinematic experience from an audio level to the board gamers, so then that way you guys don't have to also read to your table. That was one of the frustrating things for me when we started this company. It was with Gloomhaven, and Gloomhaven, we actually, you know, we would play every week, and I found it annoying that I was the only one that was really putting forth the effort. I would bring the game to the table, I would learn the rules, and now I have to read also to my players, and it started feeling a little too much like story time. So, we kind of thought, hey, why don't we put something together that really kind of would, you know, be able to be a little bit more convenient, I guess. And ultimately, the community loved it, and we kind of snowballed from there. Also, we focus a lot on accessibility. There's a lot of words in these games that maybe people don't know how to read, or they don't want to read, or maybe you're dyslexic and you don't have a lot of time to really read through that content because you keep getting things mixed up. And we kind of just offered a new way to basically um, digest the information that you were receiving, so it wasn't just a constant deluge of tiny black words on a page of never-ending story. And I think that it's gone fairly well, and we're pretty excited to do Tanares.
Heck yeah, man. There's a lot of definitely excitement there. So when we were at I went to Phoenix Fan Fusion convention back in early June. I was with Forteller, like Adam, and some of the CEO as well, and then of Origins. And so I was doing a lot of demos, right, where we're going over using some of the journal, talking about some of our characters, which is always an experience, as some of you guys are already familiar with. And I often would tell people, like, I'm excited for Forteller so I can have them do these names, so I stop trying to stammer through them sometimes. And because we do also have quite a bit of text in the game. It's, like thick book, right, that we're talking about. And so it can be tiring, right? There's plenty of people that come home, either play the game during the weekend, right? You're already kind of tired from your day. You just kind of want to just sit down, throw some dice, have some fun. And Forteller is definitely one of those ways to just kind of let some of that work be done for you.
Yeah, and that's I think that's like really the core focus. I mean, even from a gameplay standpoint for Tanaris, right? Those little city actions that you guys have in there, they're really wonderful. But if you actually sit down and read it to yourself in a mirror, you're going to take about 10 minutes to read that. And maybe for some of you, you like reading to your table, and that's awesome. I'm not saying not to, but maybe there's a day where you don't feel like it, or you just want to hear the story in a different way. And that's why I try to separate ourselves from audio narration, because it's really not narration. It's more like an audio drama where there's different characters and stuff coming in, there's background music and stuff. And for Tanaris specifically, we actually went through and we got a ton of custom music built just for this community. Each of the tracks is kind of hand tailored that way to kind of make each of those different areas and zones in the game have a different feel. And a lot of that, I think, comes down to thematics. I know that, there's many players out there that look at a board game and they say, oh, I'm just into the tactical part of it. I don't really mind the story. And, maybe then Forteller wouldn't be for you. But I would say when you're sitting, $400 or $500 into a project, having a little bit of extra ability to enjoy it may be pretty helpful. And, it's definitely one of those things where we took the time to go through and really consider the lore. And I know probably more about the lore than most people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I had Adam play the game with me, so that way it wasn't just okay, we're sending you the materials, good luck. Like, I wanted to make sure that Forteller fully understood how the game plays, what a player will experience. And then we did spend additional time, like Adam said, going over the lore of the game and the tone of the game. So that way that was all incorporated in. And so you guys, before the stream, if you were listening, that was one of the new tracks. I don't know if they're 100% finished yet, but that is one of them there. I believe that was the North Stravian region that we played for today. And in my last stream, I actually played, I think it was the Storm Oceans track. So a lot of these correspond to our world map that are part of the game. You know, on the poster or the board versions, you'll see those, and these are like the different regions, and so they have a lot of cultural aspects tied into it.
Yep, and that's the kind of weird decision making that you have to do when you're talking about a fantasy world. You know, you have to consider the different populaces, and maybe would they even have horned instruments? Should we put horns in there? Like, how would that work? And yeah, like I said, that's kind of a harken back, I guess, to your previous question about my position. That's, you know, like the conversations I have with composers, or the conversation, or even some of them I've written myself.
Yeah.
You know, just to make sure that it was done in a way that we found to be acceptable to the storyline. Because it's really all about the board game. It's not about the audio. The audio is great and everything, but we want to make the board game even more fun.
Yeah.
And I think that you know, one of the core things about Forteller is that we really do think that board gaming is kind of our generation's telling stories over a campfire. You know, it brings everybody to the table. You get to sit down, you get to enjoy something, and we really wanted to make sure that those stories are honored in the correct way, and that the honor is really, you know, making sure that we have all the lore pieces right, and all of the names pronounced in different ways sometimes, but we definitely do our best to bring as much to the table as possible.
Yeah. So let's jump into some questions first, and then we can kind of start moving on with some of the other things. And we will be playing some audio tracks, so you guys can listen for yourself and stop listening to us to yammer away.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So first question, Michael Joseph, where do we stand on community milestones? So I did let the guys know that we need another update on the community milestones. I think Michael should be writing an update today, so we'll try to get that one covered in there today. So hopefully that will help your answer there. All right. Nakano, is it only the journal entries that are voiced, and e.g. not the adventure cards?
The adventure cards.
So the landscape ones. I think when we talked about it before, we weren't doing the adventure cards, but I don't know if that's still the plan.
I'm thinking. I think we got them narrated, but
I did.
With the new changes and everything, I'm not sure which components are which, or if they're even going to be in the same order anymore. So.
Okay.
If that is the case, you know, obviously, I think, I believe I did narrate them, though. I think I did get them narrated.
All right. So yeah, the adventure cards are essentially when the player is beginning their journey phase. That is where they essentially select what kind of adventure they're going to go on. Are they, you know, going to the mountains to, you know, try to, you know, see what's going on in a mountain? Yeah.
They have the big picture on the backside, right?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, no, we did. We narrated those. I think there's, what, like 70 of those or so?
I think it's like 40 or 50 or something. Yeah, there's quite a few.
We definitely got them narrated, but
okay. Yeah, it's just little sections. All right, next question. How many microns are the Dragori sleeves? How thick are the sleeves, and will they fit in the box? Yes, they will fit in the new storage box. And those are, I believe, about 0.09 millimeters is what I was told for the thickness. So they do fit in our storage box. That has been the consideration for the new product here. All right. And we have haven't used Forteller before. Do you click through as you go, like an option at the end of the clips, or do you need to go back to the main menu every time?
So in some games, this is kind of a weird answer, but in a game where you would have, say, one choice that leads to the next choice that leads to the next choice, it'll lead you through those options. So no, you wouldn't go back to the main menu. But then there's some games where, you can kind of do any of the options at any time. And in that case, yeah, it does go back to the main menu. So each game is kind of hand tailored, but for Tanares specifically, as you go through the story options, it'll basically just present you with the options that are available to you at that time. You'll basically make your decision from that point, and then it'll chain on to the next one.
Yeah, so the idea of, Forteller integrated with us, right? Like Adam has said, trying to make that use of having all the additional books not needed as much. Of course, you can still use them if you'd like, but it will have like those options. So if you make a choice, it'll just jump to that next piece of audio for you to start, and then if there is consequences, I believe it'll tell the player what those consequences are. Say, we often have things that say like place slot 2 or something, right? Because that'll be used as a requirement into the next quest. So it'll let that player know, so that way you don't have to like keep looking at the book as you're listening to the audio. It'll all be, together. Okay. So hopefully that answers your question there. I think we're going to be able to show some of what the app looks like, and how it works. So we'll do a brief demo on that, so you guys can see it. So let's just get through these couple questions, and then we'll jump to that next, actually. All right. Would it be possible to add subtitles to the app so you can maybe even get translated subtitles in the future?
So that is actually one of the focuses that Forteller is currently kind of like looking at, from a back end point of view. There's a lot of development work that would go into providing subtitles, and we really want to. It's part of our roadmap, but I'm not quite sure when that would be. I don't want to say like it'll be immediately or anything like that, but I do know that at some point down the line, there will be some kind of option for reading along with the game, whether it's presenting that page or whatever it might be. But I know that we're working really hard to kind of get to that point where we can offer those kind of accessibility options.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that's been a challenge for us, as we've had discussions about this before, just because we do have a pretty diverse backer group, people from all over the world, a lot of different languages. So, Adam kind of talked a little bit, right, about how, challenging it is, but also just even the expense of actually trying to do, those narrations in other languages would be so probably cost prohibitive. We wouldn't even be able to do it. Like no one would be able to cheaply afford the app, and then that'd take away the fun for most people, I think.
I think if there was, millions of copies in circulation and stuff like that, it might be possible, but it's really at this point getting it in, even the regard to how long the game truly is. It is truly a Herculean effort to get this thing voiced from one end to the other, and to do that in another language that I don't know would be pretty hard at this point. But that doesn't mean it won't happen in the future. There's lots of cool things that do happen, and sometimes we even get somebody from the community that's able to make that happen. So if you know somebody, feel free to reach out.
Definitely. All right, next question here is, let's see. Oh, well, Manny says, I have Forteller for 2 games and really like it.
Hey.
I think Gloomhaven is more straightforward lore game, story before and after scenario than Tanares, where there are choices. I wonder if Forteller tech adjusts for the storytelling complexity with its UI.
So, at the end of summer, we will have a new version of the application coming to users, whether it's going to be a web player or an in-app kind of thing. We're not quite sure, but in its current state, it will adjust. Generally speaking, it's done manually, so I basically go through from end to end and make sure that the components of the game are only presented when you need them. But there are other games out there. For instance, Sleeping Gods. If you guys are fans, there's also narration available for that one, and it's kick ass. But that game is a little bit more similar to Tanaris in the sense that you listen to a little bit of narration, then you make a choice, something else happens, then you got to move on. And it's not just, hey, play a track and then complete the scenario, play a track and then complete the scenario. There's a lot of different kinds of pathways. And for those of you who are fans out there of Isofarian Guard, that their game works very similarly in the sense that you aren't always just making, a beginning or an end. It's going to have those middle tracks as well. So
yeah, and for people that haven't played Tanaris yet or haven't gotten far enough, this is much more complex than even just going, okay, well, we're going, from A to B or C, and then, then all the way down until you get to, X or something, right? Like, there's quests or adventures in the game where you're on a map and you have to start in one spot, then you go to a different part of the map, and then maybe you either teleport back to the original place, maybe you go to one of 3 or 4 different other options, you go to that one, maybe that one teleports you back. So the complexity of it increases pretty, exponentially, I believe, for you guys, right? To do that kind of thing to begin with.
But I guess the short and succinct answer is yeah. The Forteller app does adjust to those options, and we're working hard to make the UI even better than it is, and we're hoping to have something new for you guys just as soon as possible.
Yep. Let's see. So Brian, who something went wrong with the app? I couldn't log in currently. Is there a contact support that Brian can?
Support at Forteller Games. Or you can always come to our Discord channel, and you'll be helped by one of our community managers, or Thomas himself. Thomas is our CEO and programmer, and he answers and fields a lot of those questions. But generally speaking, I think you'll probably just talk directly to Nate. And if you are having an issue logging into your account, he would be more than happy to accommodate that. They're pretty responsive on there, so feel free.
All right, so jumping in Discord or emailing at, you said support at fortellergames.com. Okay, perfect. All right, hopefully that helps you there, Brian. Thank you for your precise answer. Everything I was hoping to hear. Thanks, Michael. Sounds good. Look forward to see those examples. Let's see. Shiffy, how many voice actors are used in Tanares Adventures? Or used for?
Dear God. That is sort of a loaded question. I don't know if we want to talk about the exact timeline that we had kind of laid out, but I believe it's over 50. So it's definitely over 50 voice actors. There's quite a lot of people that have been involved, and I think I want to say like 7 different composers as well. But yeah, there's quite a few voice actors, and there's an unimaginable amount of story there. I mean, it is truly awesome to see and hear as it's coming in. So I think you guys will be pretty stoked.
Yeah. I think I had maybe mentioned to like 1 or 2 people that I got to hear Zalir, and I was like, holy crap, this guy is awesome.
Zalir is actually played by one of my newer voice actors. His name is Herrick Destin, and he is truly just out of this world talented, and he was kind enough to voice Zalier for the Tanares games, and he does a very good job. And when I say very good, I mean it's legendary levels of voice acting. It's very good.
All right, yeah, man. I don't know if we'll be able to play anything with that with him today, but
Too deep,
hopefully,
too deep in the story, man.
yeah. Hopefully we'll be able to get something sometime soon. All right, let's see. Next up is, yeah, getting the narrative translated would be too cost heavy, but when you already got the translation upgrade packs, you kind of already have the translation. It just has to get implemented, which is, I can understand, a pretty heavy task to perform, but knowing that you're planning to work on it, it already is awesome, and I look forward to it someday.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. It's not something that we consider even lightly. We know that there are fans out there that don't speak English and they want to also have their content represented. And it's really just from a standpoint, we're a very small team. We have, 5 people on the team total. Well, actually 6 now. But it's not all of us work, on the actual application itself. A lot of it's, community and stuff like that. So from just a design and uh, technical aspect, it's not as, I don't want to say it's not easy because I'm sure there's somebody out there who's like, this is how you do it.
Yeah.
But at least in my skill set, it's super difficult. But I really want to. It's a very, very, very close to my heart, and I want to make sure that we're at the very least always keeping that on the table. So
Yeah. And I'll just say, even from the like developing a board game side, it's also a huge task just to make it available in other languages as well. So we definitely fully understand that challenge.
yeah, no, I mean I'm still thankful to the guys for even releasing the game in English. Like it's super crazy that they took a story that long,
Massive.
and you got to remember, like even some publishers of famous books don't go that route, and you guys have more than a novel's worth of text here.
Oh
So
yeah, easily. Okay, so we do have a couple other questions, but I kind of want to start jumping into the demo so people can start listening and seeing. So basically, let's see, how does Forteller work?
okay,
And Adam will hopefully be
so
able to
let
show
me
us that.
so when you all right, so this is going to sound a little confusing to you guys for a moment, and then you'll understand. The way that the application works is you basically download Forteller, you make yourself a Forteller account, right? So then that way, that's just where your game audio narrations that you have purchased are stored or are able to be accessed. Um, Now, here's where the confusion comes in, is that when you purchase a new narration, you have to go to the website to purchase it, and it'll populate your account, which will then allow you to access it on your application. And the reason why we have to do it that way is because we work with so many different developers that not everybody is comfortable with Apple or not everybody is comfortable with Android. So we had to make it an agnostic system, and this was really the only way to do that. And outside purchasing, yeah, it's kind of annoying, but we find it annoying too. It's just the way that different corporations have gated themselves. It's really not something that we can change. That being said, once you do download the application, you just log into your account, and what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to show you guys mine. So up at the top here, you basically have all of your different games that you own, right? And on for me, I obviously own all of them because
Because he works there.
oh no, they made me pay for them. But yeah, so I've got all of these cool games that we have in here, and Tanaris will be in there. But since Gloomhaven was already mentioned, I guess I'll open up that one so we can kind of see how Gloomhaven is. Now, when you open up a specific game, it'll basically have the board game here at the top, and then it has all of the different scenarios going downwards. So as you kind of need to access them, you have all your different scenarios. Now, once you've selected a scenario, like say the Black Barrow, we're going to go ahead and just click into there, which will then give you the pathways that you need to basically start and enjoy the story. In this one, it's not very complicated. As you can see, there's only just the intro and then the outro. So there's only the two tracks available, but if you do play from there, right, you'll actually be able to then move on. We won't listen to the audio right now because there's no point. But when you do it from here, it'll give you this little completion screen, and if you did gain any treasures or whatever at the end of the scenario, it'll give you a nice little prompt. But for a game that's a little bit more complex, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how Sleeping Gods works, because it is a little bit more similar to Tanares. So Sleeping Gods, again, has all of these different scenarios. And all of the different scenarios kind of relate to the different page numbers, or in the case of Tanares, right, you guys have those little chapter numbers that are right there at the top. So those will relate to the chapter number. Each one will be separated by chapter, so it's really easy to find. If you're, say, in chapter A, right, you'll be able to basically go into chapter A, and then underneath chapter A, there'll be a directory that'll take you through a pathway that'll look something like this. Now, as you can see, it's quite a bit more complex. And all of these little different branches kind of show you where those decisions are made. But really, it doesn't matter from this aspect, because once you start the scenario, which is just this nice thing at the top here, it'll take you through those decision processes. And you've seen that the icon has kind of changed. Now it looks like a little split branch. And when it branches, it'll give you the options, right? So all of the different options.
So it's a little hard to see in there. Could you maybe say what like the options are, so they have a...
So, yeah, absolutely. So right here we have what do you do, right? Up here at the top with the guidepost. And then it says, do you A, search the skeleton? And then it even gives you a little bit more clarification. It's unavailable if you have the keyword pink. B, open the door, and then that requires the keyword iron. Or C, return to the ship. So that would return you back to the previous choice, and then you'd make another choice. But in this case, let's search the skeleton. So then it would play the audio. When the audio is completed, it'll take you on to the next part. Because there is no option there, it'll just wait for you to say play, and when you're ready, you can say play. And as you go through, it'll eventually get to your finish screen. And there's different pathways and different options for each one of those to make. And as far as a fast and dirty demo goes, that is kind of how it works. But we do have a lot more information about Forteller on our Forteller channel on YouTube. So if you do have any questions or concerns, or you want to know a little bit more about how it works, there's some full-fledged demos on there. There's also a host of different people using our application as well on YouTube. Not the least of which is one of my dudes, Kanjay. His YouTube channel is great, and he's also a huge fan of Tanares as well.
Oh, is he? What's his channel? Do you know his handle?
Canje Studios.
Okay. All right. Check out Kanjay.
Yeah, he has some pretty amazing content, and then also, you know, there's all the different people playing Gloomhaven and Frosthaven right now.
Sure.
And you can kind of see them using the application as well. But again, you know, it's a labor of love, so sometimes we get the options wrong, and we have to get corrected by the community. Hey, here, you know, you can't go to the skeleton until you get the key or whatever, and it's a heck of a lot of content to go through by yourself. So, you know, we always appreciate the input, and we do have like a live bug report log where we change everything. Currently, it stands at 0 because we are constantly working on it, but there's a lot to do, and I hope that at least gave you guys some clarification onto how the application works, because it can be a little bit tricky to navigate when you purchased a game, and how your account would work and stuff like that. So, but once you get into the application, it's fairly intuitive.
Yeah. Awesome. That's fantastic. Well, yeah, it doesn't seem too bad. I've personally, so how I started knowing Forteller, of course, probably like many, is I purchased Gloomhaven a while ago. And I mean, this was years and years ago, and was playing the game, and I'm trying to remember exactly how I ran into it. It might have been an ad. It might have been like a BGG discussion when I was looking up things, and someone was like, "Oh yeah, there's this narration thing, Forteller," and just looked it up and was like, "Whoa, this is pretty cool." Oh, you know what? And I think also was I saw the Frosthaven intro video as well that you guys did, and that was pretty awesome video there with the narration. So ended up getting it, and initially I actually did have some technical issues. I contacted the support, and relatively pretty quickly, I think it was only like maybe like a couple weeks to maybe like a month or something, and the issue is fixed, because it wasn't like just me. It was like the app didn't support a specific version of like a tablet, and then it got fixed real quick, and then it worked. So, and haven't really had
Yeah, that's
any.
actually
Go ahead.
a funny little thing there is that people don't realize, like, you have to design the application for different devices. It's not just, hey, you make a website and you go to it. There's different viewports, and
Yep.
they all have to shrink down and do different things for different devices, and some devices don't like the way that certain scaling works. So then you have to be like, oh wow, nobody's ever accessed Forteller on a Galaxy S3 before. So you have to
Yeah, I think that probably
go.
was pretty close to what I was using, like an old tablet, and
Yeah.
like, this thing doesn't work. What's going on?
Yeah, we have to optimize it for that device, and that's all on the tech side. I mean, Thomas and those guys are pretty crazy when it comes to trying to be as responsive as possible to the demands of the community. But it's there's a lot
Yeah.
to do.
Oh yeah. Anyway, so basically, what I was going to go into next is you got some tracks for us to listen to for Tanares.
Sure, absolutely. I don't know how you want me to cue those up, but I'd be more than happy to play something for you guys.
Sure.
But before I do that, I want to just kind of really briefly, if we
Yeah,
can,
sure.
address exactly what you're about to hear and why
Yes, thank.
it's going to be different when you hear it in the application when it is finished. So over the course of the development, we started the project back in December, and we started, scripting this monster and making all this stuff happen. And once we started kind of getting some of the narratives put together, the gentleman down in Brazil took a listen, and they really liked the audio, but they felt that the writing just needed a little bit more kind of tweaking and cleanup. And I know that it's frustrating to have a book that isn't maybe the accurate version or whatever, but they are, working on a way, I believe, right, to be
Yep.
able to have like a replacement for that book if you are an older backer and you want to make sure that your content matches what you guys are about to hear. Now, that being said, this will match your old content because it's all created from the old content. We are currently in the process of having those rewrites done and those edits made so that the content can be even better, which even from a production standpoint is kind of insane because we have to record a ton more voice acting. But it's going to be a lot of fun because I've already worked with a ton of great voice actors, and I can't wait to work with them again. So that being said, I'm happy to queue up some tracks, and we'll queue some stuff just from early on in the game. So then that way everybody can kind of take a listen and kind of decide for themselves. But I think
sure.
that this is a pretty amazing product.
All right.
Oh, and the music will obviously not change like that. That'll be
Yeah. The music is still the same music that we've been developing for a while.
just the words. The people will be the same, the
Yes.
voice acting will be the same, and the quality will obviously be the same. But the voice or the words will be just a little different. So do you want me to cue that up from my device, or you got it?
Well, I have just I think the music tracks, but if you have any of the audio tracks to play that.
I do. sad, dude. Do I have to change my output?
Let's see. So what it's picking up, it's picking whatever up is in Discord. So you would have to play probably through, unfortunately, I think through your microphone. Although I'm.
No, I should be able to share my screen once I.
Oh yeah.
So maybe do.
Maybe if you click share screen.
Let's do Adventure A. I think that's a cool one to start with.
And
I'll get the audio queued up and hopefully it'll play for everybody.
And just so you guys know, I think we did actually play one of the tracks. I don't know if it was from A or not, but we did play one of those that was in one of the previous updates, so you might hear that as well. Let's see. So there's 2 people saying that your audio is still quieter. It could be just because his mic could have been a little further away. Once we start playing the audio tracks, if you guys could let us know if it's good, that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that this should probably be a lot louder.
Okay.
I just have to be careful because my mic is so sensitive.
Yeah.
For those of you out there who know microphones, this one's kind of crazy. All right, so let's see. I'm gonna queue this one up and that one up, and I'm just gonna go ahead and play journal entry A01 as it'll probably appear in the application. And hopefully this will be able to be heard by everybody. So, you hear that, James?
It's quiet. Oh, and then there's echo.
The echo. One second. That's probably me. I'm mute.
And then higher, I think. Is it still? And it could be. I might be able to help too.
He unified the continent and became the emperor. To prevent new Malrokian curses, the empire forbids the gathering of many armed people with common interests. Conflicts of interest must be resolved peacefully or in the arena, where a few fighters called heroes sometimes decide the fate.
I turned up the stream chat. Maybe we might want to go back because someone said they couldn't hear anything. So I turned up the stream volume so it's louder for me. Basically, whatever I hear is probably what everyone else is going to hear. So I think this should be good. All right. Give it a go again. You're on mute, by the way.
I will start it over, and then what I'll do is I'm just going to queue up A. If you guys, do you want me to go through like the first like 6, or do you want me to just do like, okay. Yeah. I'll do the first 6. All right, so I'm just going to be kind of quiet over here, and then once one ends, we'll move on to the next one, okay?
So just remember, for everyone that's following along, this would be you following the journal right from the beginning, and then the next section, as like what we normally do, it'll go like that. All right, go ahead, Adam.
In the vacuum of power following the last World War, a powerful man started making alliances with the evolutionists, the world's leading religion, and the nobles. He unified the continent and became the emperor. To prevent new Malrokian curses, the empire forbids the gathering of many armed people with common interests. Conflicts of interest must be resolved peacefully or in the arena, where a few fighters called heroes sometimes decide the fate of whole nations. The only army in the world is the Empire's Iron Hand. It is mainly soldiers who suffer a magical psychosurgery to lose their free will. They obey only orders from sentient, high-ranked officers, usually sons of nobles and other imperialists. It's nighttime. You keep away from the main roads. One of the two moons is shining bright. Foes had been pursuing you after a successful adventuring day, and you think you've lost them. You can't sleep. To distract your mind, you talk about the most exciting piece of recent news, discoveries in the field of the Malrokian curse and avatar dragons. The wasteland was spreading at an accelerated pace and threatened to engulf the world. Scholars discovered that it is avatar dragons, frenzied by the scent of massive bloodshed, as described in the curse's decree, that produce the catastrophes. When slayed, the disaster's lingering consequences cease. The wasteland heroes found and slayed Thera, blue avatar dragon of thunder, that ended the eternal storm. Fisherman's Wharf, the largest city by the Storm Ocean's coast, began to thrive. The next day, you reach the safety of Fisherman's Wharf. You meet in a tavern to drink and split your loot. Each of you tries to keep the silent composure of a mighty hero who doesn't need to advertise their feats. But your tongues progressively loosen as the barmaid brings you endless spirit refills.
The inauguration is today.
She says, out of breath between each round.
Of the Arena of Future? Visitors from all over the continent. Even the Emperor is there. Customers see heroes such as yourselves and call their friends over. Good for reputation. As long as you're sitting there, I will keep serving you. Free of charge.
She winks and disappears into the crowd. When you notice that evenly splitting your loot is impossible, the bragging becomes inevitable.
So real quick, actually, I do want to interject something real quick. So just kind of an audio design part for people that may not know. So me and Adam had discussed this in the development that we wanted to be able to have an audio cue to the player. So maybe you guys hear that whoosh and then the right. There's like a kind of a ambient sound in the background, and I'm sure Adam can talk more about it. But basically, we thought that for people that weren't looking at the book, it's not obvious to you that these sections are blue sections of the journal, and those blue sections give you background on the world. And so if you're not actually looking at the book, you wouldn't know that that's what's happening when you hear those sections. So that's kind of what's happening here.
Yeah, we wanted to be able to kind of, like James kind of said, have an audio cue to let you know that there is a moment that it's kind of saying, by the way, here's a little bit more information. So then that way, as you're listening through the storyline, you'll get those little tidbits and stuff without having to click all over the place. Because adding a bunch of different routes and stuff really just it muddles the experience too much, and we wanted to make sure that the gameplay is really maintained, especially when you're trying to digest this much story.
Yeah, exactly. And since there is a lot of different story, it was originally a little too confusing too as to what was going on. If you like, all right, sometimes you kind of maybe you're zoning out or you're looking at the board and then you don't hear it, and then you're like, wait, what why are they talking about dragons being incensed? I don't understand how that has to do with the story, right? So that's part of the thought behind it. But anyway, sorry, I just wanted to quickly interject that to explain for anyone that might have heard that.
Right. So on we are with part 3 of this journal.
A bard plays a paced melody while singing a fresh epic tale about the end of the wasteland. The bard doesn't have the insider knowledge you do as heroes, but their verses tell a reasonably accurate story. The wasteland heroes also slayed Zarumag, the black dragon. That put an end to the wasteland's toxic mists. Zarumag's spirit had been entrapped by Dilsgar, former Iron Hand captain and leader of the cult of the Shadow Wing. He desired to rule the world on its wings. He fled the heroes of the wasteland, one of whom, Sedura, was appointed as the new captain. With the end of the storm, the Empire built a second Imperial Palace and the Arena of Future on top of a hill in Fisherman's Wharf. The glasses vibrate on top of the table. Outside the tavern, you hear explosions and shouting.
Oh my!
The barmaid exclaims, a hand on her panting chest.
What is going on in that arena? It seems that all our taxes were spent on useless drums and wizards to put on a freak show.
Most of the crowd instinctively leaves the tavern to see what is happening. After a while, the excited shouting becomes terrified screaming. You see people running outside, stumbling over each other. Before you can react, sinister figures, weapons drawn, approach the tavern. You beat the enemies and leave the tavern after helping wharfers and tourists escape. Outside, the city burns. It seems like there are many more of those enemies invading town. You decide to spread out and gather resources and information about the invasion. On the day of the Arena of Future's inauguration, war vessels appeared on the horizon, revealing that you are not alone in the world. Another civilization came from the far side of the storm oceans, a humanoid species with gray skin and white hair, called Kemet. Your help is significant, but ultimately pointless. There's not much a few heroes can do against an army. You need to run. Head towards the city's east gates and flee. Unfortunately, you've already drawn too much attention. A small crowd gathers around you, the best protection they could find. The pack stands out in the road, right between the Arena of Future and the Imperial Palace. Before you can retreat, you're surrounded by Kemet. This is likely a fight to the death. With no time for strategic schemes, you each decide to face the enemy that behaves most like you, so that you can fend them off in a contest of similar skills for as long as possible, while the rest of the populace makes a run for it. The fight is brutal. Your abilities prove superior, but you're outnumbered. One of the Kemet gets through your defenses, and just as you're about to get hit, a blast of thunder knocks them down. You look up. The sky is a clear blue. The origin of the thunder was a tall woman in white and blue shining armor, heading a squad of Iron Hand soldiers on top of the hill where the arena stands. She comes to you, shouting instructions to the populace. It seems the east gate is near and still open. You follow the pack.
Hold on!
She shouts, stopping you in your tracks.
I am Sedura, the Iron Hand captain. The Empire and its people could use your help. Please, introduce yourselves.
With the Imperial army in shambles and the Emperor missing, the people's last shred of hope is trusting that you, the world's mightiest fighters, can stand your ground against an army of thousands.
Pleased to meet you. I have nothing to offer but the opportunity to defend your homeland. You likely have loved ones in Fisherman's Wharf, friends, perhaps a house in town. Oh, find in you whatever you need to give meaning to the word heroes and defend your people.
Sedura points to a statue near you.
The Arena of Future is protected by power dampeners, which guarantee that only authorized people can use their special abilities on the battlefield. There are many heroes inside and around the arena, struggling to fend off enemies in much higher numbers in the stands. Destroy these dampeners to give us a fighting chance.
All right. So That section is the section that you, as a player, will be kind of making some choices. You get like the different mana cubes. And the whole point of that first part of this adventure, by the way, is to, of course, bring you into the world, the narrative of it, as well as it's kind of our way of doing a mini game. So instead of you just saying, instead of us just telling the player, just pick 4 heroes and start playing, we're trying to make it a fun game for you. So you're going to go, and make these different choices. And those are the parts that you don't see right now, but you will see when you are playing in the Forteller app. And you will get different cubes. And then basically by the end, it asks you, okay, based on the number of cubes, you seem like your choices fit most to like the brute. And then you would select, potentially a brute. You don't have to. It's just kind of a way to make it a little fun mini game for it. So that's kind of what that first section is all about here.
But yeah, it was. These are tracks that are largely completed. Obviously, they need a little bit of balancing and whatnot. Streaming it through the internet this way is not quite the same as listening to it in my audio DAW, where all of the little nuances in the background, running around, people and screaming and stuff. It's not always. It flattens it out in the stream a little bit, but on my side, I can hear all of the different things that we put in there. So.
And probably more so even the bass too, because I could tell I couldn't hear the bass as well as when I've heard the tracks previously.
Well, that's I mean, you're hearing them directly through, and streaming does compress the audio. There's nothing I can really do a ton about that, but there's like a good there's a wide dynamic range, and in fact the sound designer that is doing this one, his name is AJ Laveau. He's a very well known sound designer at this point, and he has a massive YouTube channel, Sword Coast Soundscapes, if you guys want to take a listen. But he is the one that is kind of responsible for this sound design, and he is an audio engineer by trade. He actually teaches at a university. And he does all sorts of crazy projects that have to do with spatial listening. So there's a lot of really unique dynamics to this audio that you really can only experience once you have it in your hands. Yeah. If you're an audio nerd like I am, I love hearing the arrows whip from speaker to speaker, and I love hearing the clangs reverberate as it goes from the left to the right, so you can actually feel that shield hit. But those are the things that usually kind of go past our audience. But in this case, when that thunder goes off, I can feel it in the floor, and I really like that stuff. It really just gets me immersed. I've listened to that probably, 16, 17 times now. And each time I find something new that I like about it. So if that says anything to you about it, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, and if you guys hadn't seen our initial Forteller trailer, so we have 2. One of them is more focused on the miniatures that came out this last week, so make sure to check that out. It's on the Dragori channel and I believe the Forteller channel as well. But then the initial announcement video that we did was from a different section of audio. And I specifically remember listening to that track, and there's this section that's, talking about the times of where the gods decree the Malrokian curse, and then these dragons erupt, from the earth, I believe, and there's this really awesome sound, and I just got chills listening to that part because it was so cool.
Oh yeah, no, definitely, and I think that the narrator does a fantastic job. Andreas Somville, he's actually now a close personal friend, but over the course of the years, he's done a lot of narrations and things. He runs a whole YouTube channel based around Warhammer 40K, so you guys know that he's a massive fan of board games and video games, and that's what we really needed from a narrator. For this one, we really needed somebody who was going to grip the story and want it. And I can't tell you how fervent he is. I know that he's an all-in backer in this pledge tier, or maybe from last time because he already has some of the components. So I think maybe that was from previous. But he's got all sorts of stuff around Tanares, and he was just so passionate that it was, the read was almost like, yeah, of course you're doing this. I think I auditioned 20 different narrators, and his just kept rising to the top amongst everybody I let listen to. So I think that, ultimately listening to that for 40 hours or 35 hours is going to be like pretty dang cool. And it's not to say that this is one of those things that like, this is an audio narration. This is an audio drama. It's fully voice acted. It's got sound design. It's got music. And to do 35 hours of that is kind of a crazy task. So we really appreciate you guys supporting us. And if you do have any comments or anything like that, make sure to reach out to us at Forteller. We're active on Discord. We're active on our Twitter. And we just love having people be part of the community. And, sometimes we even do giveaways and stuff like that. So if you guys, are in the area of Gen Con, we're going to probably be giving something away Tanares related, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. In fact, so at Gen Con, we'll be giving away a copy of Tanares Adventures that we have, obviously, and the Arena of the Contest box that would go with that. It's quite a package. We also did that at Origins along with a gold dragon, and I think it was a painted dragon collection too. Oh, it was just like massive. The person that walked away was just so happy.
Well, yeah, and she she uploaded a bunch of photos and stuff.
Did she?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think I even got to see those.
I'll have to send them over to you. But it's one of those things like, the game, the miniatures, the audio experience, like I think it all just goes hand in hand. It makes sense. It's a huge epic tale. And, as far as being an add-on, there's actually a lot of, we've had a lot of comments across many communities, and it's not just Tanares that is a little bit hesitant, and they're hesitant because it's a new piece of the puzzle that maybe you're not sure that you're going to use. So you don't want to spend money that you might want to spend on other things. But I think that it is one of those components that once these communities get a hold of it, they're just fervent for more. And even if you check out like how the audio is, kind of perceived by the communities, it's really, kind of amazing to see the outpouring of positivity that comes out of those communities. And so if you are unsure of the audio quality, I can tell you from being one of the designers, being the director, and also being part of Forteller, that we're not going to let you down on the audio quality stuff. And as far as the app stuff goes, we're always working on making the app better. There's not a day that goes by where somebody's not working on something. And it takes people from the community to tell us what they dislike and what they are having issues with, or what they do like and what they want to see more of, for us to be able to do our jobs better. I think that we're definitely on that warpath. We've been in these communities now for close to 5 years, or maybe even just a little bit more than that. And every day, we're working on a new audio narration or a new way for people to play some of these giant box board games that wouldn't otherwise get this kind of treatment. And we really appreciate that the community has been so kind of like excited to see this one, because Tanares is going to be a large development project, and at the end of it, it's going to be one of those things where it's like, we did it together.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Yeah. I mean, from a community aspect, yeah. I mean, so much of our game has been completely molded by the community because people are so passionate about the world, right? And me and Adam have had many discussions before about how important this is to him, because he is a board gamer. It's not like he's just doing audio all the time, right? He's playing games, he's buying these games as well, and he cares about it very much, just like probably all of you do. So there's a lot in it for them as well. That's not just, about as a company, right, or being as a business, but because they love what they're doing.
Well, and that actually is kind of one of the hardest divides that we have, is that how can we be fans and a company all at the same time? Because sometimes the opportunities that are presented to us are expensive, and they're crazy great opportunities, and we want to take advantage of them, but we can't. Or things like, going down a whole pipeline for creating a subtitle system. It's really important that we do that at some point, but right now our team size is just a little too small, but we're getting there. And with every new game that comes out, we'll be able to take a harder look at that stuff. And really, without the support of the community, we can't do any of this. So it's very much so like, thank you so much. We love being part of new opportunities, and Tanares is this massive world with a very rich culture, and we want to make sure that all of that is represented. But the key element here is that we really are board gamers. Like, I'm trying to get off of work so I can go play these games, not sit here and just think about this stuff, or try to do it from like a marketing standpoint, like, here's how we're gonna do this. It's really truly just about the games.
Definitely. That's what I really have enjoyed about meeting you guys. All right, so let's do some questions. We'll catch up on some questions, and then we'll come back and play some of the music tracks that they've developed and listen to those, because personally I am in love with a lot of the music that we've come up with, and I'm really hoping people will mirror what I feel about it as well, but we'll see. All right. So let's see where we're at here. Just jumping up on the questions. How and when would the delivery of the Forteller for Tanares be accomplished? So I believe, like, what's the release plan?
And so I can't really comment on that at this time, but it'll be as as we kind of get into the discussions with the guys over at Dragori. They are currently in rewrites, so at the moment we are actually kind of halted in development. We can't really do anything more. Obviously, the music tracks and stuff like that, we can continue to develop and create sound libraries and whatnot, but really we don't actually know until we have that. But I will tell you this, that we are pretty vocal about when things are going to be released. So the second that we actually have a fixed date, we'll be able to dump that out on you guys. There's also some possibility that there may be episodic releases or something like that. We're not quite sure how that would work, but we have discussed that. So I'm not really
and that's what I was going to add as well, is that we have talked before about doing it. We don't have all the details figured out because, like Adam said, we have to get the full delivery plan figured out, and then where we're going to segment where we need to. But so to quickly answer it the best way possible is, we are going to try to get as much of the main Tanares Adventures campaign completed by the time that you receive your games for the February release date. And then basically from there, we will then work on making sure that the Wasteland Expedition campaign is also narrated soon after. And then we also have, of course, the In the Realms of the Madness epilogue campaign and the Time Twist campaign. So those will probably be near the end. And the only reason those are near the end is because, one, the Time Twist campaign is a complete add-on that a lot of backers may never even potentially get. But if you are getting Forteller, you're getting that for free. Like, you're getting the narration part for free. This add-on covers everything in the world of Tanares as what we have. So even if you don't own that, you'll still listen to it if you'd like. And then, like I said, those other pieces of content are areas that either people may not own or they may not experience until they get much further on in the game. So we're really trying to get the mass of it as possible. It may not be even fully completed by February, but we will at least, try to release maybe, a large enough section that you can start playing through the campaign. And then hopefully shortly after, maybe, a couple months, a couple weeks or so. I don't know, exact timing yet.
Yeah, day one, when the Eponus release date is created, there will be Forteller content. That's not the problem.
Yes.
I just don't know when the quote unquote full delivery will be. But again, we're pretty vocal about that kind of stuff. And the second that we're, in gear and going ahead, we'll be able to kind of give you guys a better time frame.
And I think that this next question actually very much leads into part of the reason why it takes a long time to do this is like, how long do you think the audio will be?
Well, so as it's written, I believe there's like 330,000 words in this game. And that's not including any kind of mechanical text. That's just all story stuff. So the best way that I can describe that is every 10,000 words, you get about an hour of audio. So even by that kind of small meter, and that's just like to adjust for a few things here or there, probably between, I would say, 33 and 38 hours of audio at the end of the day. But I think that there's a lot of kind of mystery as to how much extra little bits and pieces might be in there. So it'll be over 30 hours. I want to say it'll be closer to the 40-hour mark, but generally speaking, it'll be above 30 hours. So it's a ton of content for $25. Jesus.
Yeah, if you do enjoy this, I think you're going to easily pay that off pretty quick from listening to it. All right, so the next question is, and we did actually answer this, I believe, in Discord, but I will answer it here as well. So if something should happen to the Forteller company, is the audio narration gone forever, or is the system set up where downloaded content will be saved? So maybe you can say what you want, and then I'll reply with what officially was given to me as well.
So I would say read the official answer because it is a little bit more distinct and clarify. It has some clarification in there, but generally speaking, it's available.
Yeah. So, because the audio and the product that you guys are getting is important to Forteller, of course, just like it is with us. If anything happens to really either company, we're actually obligated to still make it available. So it will be available. If for some reason Forteller went out of business, they will provide a link for people to be able to download those tracks and then be able to listen to them on their own. I don't know how the app part of it may work. I don't think we got into those kind of details because I believe there's some back end that has to be maintained just to do the app side of it.
Yeah, there's certain delivery processes that come from the technical side that I really can't speak on, but I know that if you guys do have these kind of big technical questions, you can again reach out to support, and if you want like actual clarification on certain things, they can provide you with that as well. I mean, Thomas is a wealth of knowledge about how all of that stuff works. So if you see him lurking around on Discord or whatever, feel free to ask him.
Well, and what I'll say too is, I mean, Forteller has doesn't seem like it's going anywhere either. You guys have gotten a lot of new projects and things coming along that, of course, we're a big project, but they have plenty of other great publishers as well that they're working as well. So I think it's very unlikely that Forteller is going away anytime soon.
Yeah, we definitely have some pretty amazing releases. Just kind of quick, since everybody's kind of already in that mindset, coming up here at the end of July and beginning of August. But the game, like our release schedule is looking like sometime after the summer or early fall. Kinfire Chronicles will be coming out, and that's a game by Incredible Dream. If you guys haven't heard of that one's Jane Hoffaker, the executive producer of Arcane, actually put a board game together, and it's pretty dang solid. We did the audio narration for that, and then also Ryan Lockett. He's coming out with his new Sleeping Gods game, Distant Skies, and we're on that one. And we have a couple more releases before the end of the year, and then Tanares and all sorts of stuff coming out. Currently, Gloomhaven just finished up their whole announcement stuff, their grand
second
festival.
edition.
And, yeah, and you know, it's funny, they say second edition, but it's like a whole new game, dude.
Yeah.
Jeez. But either way, yeah, like not to get too off topic, you know, Tanares is definitely one of the ones that is a major focus, and in fact is one of the games that has a sound designer specifically on it at all times, kind of doing something. And we're kind of at that point where we're just waiting for some text to come in, and then we'll be rip roaring to get you guys your content for the release.
Oh. Let's see. Comment of much love for you guys with Isofaron Guard. Will this be your biggest project? Tanares is massive. I think we kind of answered that, but I'll let Adam say it.
So I believe so. I would have to go count by number, but I know it's a little bit bigger than Isofaron Guard as far as length goes. I don't know that anybody has ever made a box that's bigger than Isofaron Guard. I believe in some states of the United States, we are now taking the boxes and using them as housing. But there's a massive amount of content in that game too. But in this one, I think you guys will probably get out beyond that 30-hour. Well, no, because they're only 18. So yeah, no, Tanares will be definitely longer.
It's a big boy.
It's a big, lot of story.
And let me just quickly plug the guys over there at Sky Kingdom Games, because I did get to spend some time with them, Eric and David, great guys, and they have a fantastic product there. They are going to be doing a reprint for Isofaron Guard in September. So be on the lookout for that if you guys are interested in picking up as well. I think it's always good to help promote everybody.
Yeah, and I'll shamelessly plug, you know, the other guys over there at Madara that were also in our booth at Origins.
Thank you.
They have an amazing, you know, you guys have crossover elements in that one too.
We do. Nynx is part of the one of the heroes in the game, so you'll be able to play with her.
Yep, and if anybody's out there playing both Tanares and Madara at the same time, well, I'm glad that you have enough time to do that. But
yeah,
the guys at Madara, you know, we host their narration on our platform as well, and we're working on some projects with them. They have a lot of content as well, but it's kind of cool to see all these kind of worlds collide. There's a lot of different cool ones, and then Jack was also there from Dungeons of Infinity, but that's kind of an IP that's also underneath the guys over at Sky Kingdom Games. But if you guys want to hear a fantasy audio narration, that's probably pretty similar to what you're going to get from Tanares. Dungeons of Infinity is a great place to kind of listen through from beginning to end. Yeah. And Dungeons of Infinity, man, there's a lot of content in that one, but it's a heartbreaker. That story is a rip your heart out. So.
And Jade the Bard is actually in that game as well, so you can play as Jade in their game, which is one of our characters.
That's true.
All right, let's see. So someone says, okay, take my money. I think that was during when we were playing the music or the narration and love what they were hearing. Question, is there ambient music while playing?
So that's actually part of our development cycle. Obviously, we've gone through and developed all the ambient music already. So we kind of have two options for that. One, we have Fabler, which is another arm of the Forteller kind of universe. And Fabler allows you to kind of take ambient audio and kind of design your own tracks, but also use cultivated playlists to kind of like have audio ambience kind of in the background as you go through. That one is a subscription, I believe, but it's not part of the Forteller app at the current time. Although I know that in the near future we are going to be discussing the ambient. So like while you're playing, also having some music play in the background, and how we can kind of facilitate that for everybody. But just within the one application, so we don't have to bounce around. We're not quite sure how we're going to do that quite yet, but I know that we have the music already.
Yeah.
So,
and I was hoping, well, you know, like we said, we'll keep working on it, seeing what we can do. But I was hoping that, you know, at a bare minimum, of course, like we mentioned earlier about translations, that this will be a way for people to, you know, hear some of those tracks, get some of those benefits, even while they're playing, even if, you know, they don't have the narration in their spoken language. But we'll keep working hard at this as we've continued to do.
yeah, and it's also one of those things that, you know, like all of the community outreach stuff really helps. So if you want to see a design feature, or if you want to hear a specific thing or whatever, please reach out, because we don't get a ton of that kind of mail, you know, where it's like, hey, we want this feature, we want that feature, or you know, we want this game or that game, and we would love to have your guys' input as much as possible. And please, Discord and on the socials and everything.
Comment of you, yep, better than my buddy. I might not feel sleepy anymore. That's good.
That's definitely something that I've experienced myself. So
yes, me as well. You, sir. All right, 40 hours. How much popcorn is enough for this? Not enough. Just tell you that.
Never enough.
Not enough. All right.
There's never enough popcorn.
Yeah.
Well, and also to mention, like, I mean, think about it this way. Like, what if you went through, like, you have to go through a couple different times, because you're not going to get all the options every time.
Yeah, it's true. Tanares has a crazy amount of replayability. So even if you play through the campaign that first time, there's going to be lots of adventures that you didn't get to do. You didn't get to stop the Lich from, you know, getting some artifact, or, you know, helping the pirates or something, right? So there's going to be those reasons to not just come back for the game, but also to hear those tracks.
Also, James plays a character.
I was unsure if I really wanted to mention it or not, but yes, I did make it.
We won't tell them which one, and maybe they can guess.
But you gotta give them some clues, because we're all about clues here, and puzzles and stuff. I will say that this character is a very important character in the story. I'd say he has a bigger role in the Wasteland Expedition part of the story, but he is also in Tanares Adventures.
Dropping he, are we?
I don't did.
Think people would have inferred that. Yeah, no. Actually, funnily enough, potentially the character has already been mentioned.
Yes, he is. Yes, he may have already been mentioned in one of the earlier tracks, one or two maybe. Anyway, so yeah, go check that, and maybe you guys can figure out who I will be playing. And of course, you know, I also went very hardcore when I went with this. I used some props and things to do additional sounds, because normally the text says like, oh, that character, you know, coughs or something. And, you know, I'm not going to give away everything, because then it'll tell you who the character is. But yes, I actually went and did some props with that to make it sound even better.
It is very cool.
All right, let's see. So another comment. I'm so excited about Forteller. I'm an all-in cosmetic backer on Tanares Adventures plus Arena 1.5 and Tanares RPG, getting all the new stuff in the campaign, and of course the Forteller. Thank you. How do you? Okay, so this is kind of a design question here, and I think let's see. Let's do quick time check. So 1:34. We're probably going till about 2, just so you guys know. I really want to get to some audio tracks, so we're probably going to be kind of cutting off the questions here pretty soon. So if you have anything else, make sure to throw it out. How do you approach a project like this? Finding voice actors, doing the lines, how many people involved, etc.
How many people are involved in the process of like touching the audio?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
from end to end?
I think that's the question. Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously there's the writers, and they write up the content, and then I take that and turn it into a script. So that's one from our side, and then 2, 3 kind of goes through another pass. Probably, I would say 5 people are in that line of procedure. Now, it's kind of hard because, you know, if you count the 50 voice actors, of course, there's a lot more. But once the audio is scripted, it's sent over to the actor for review, and they take a listen to what I've kind of put together for them, or potentially I've written down for them, and then we usually kind of coordinate a live stream where not a live stream, a live direct, sorry, where we sit down and kind of riddle through the different pronunciations of different words, and kind of I read the other parts and they read back to me, or vice versa, or sometimes they do it solo if they're a very accomplished voice actor with very limited time. Then it comes back to me, I review it, then it goes over to the sound designers. Usually there's a couple different people involved in that process, so that's 3, right? Me, the 2 sound designers, and then you've got 2 composers, and then the actor, and that's for each different character, just from one standpoint to the next. But that's an awesome question.
Yeah. It's a pretty big process that I don't think a lot of people may fully understand how much work goes into this. So hopefully that kind of gives a quick idea. If you're seeing my video jump around, it's because I'm trying to see if I can open up something while we're going along here. But
but that's like the interesting thing is we have so many different kind of elements that are piled on top of each other. And in fact, we've even worked with, a lot of people from Hollywood and bigger productions, right? Like Netflix, that kind of come in and they take a look at the process and they go, holy crap, you guys are doing this with 3 people. Like, we take a team of 20 to just make that happen for a, 15 episode pilot. And that's just the sound part.
right.
But we're doing it all by ourselves, basically, with just our small team. And one of the incredible things about that is the answer to that question is, how do we do it? No sleep.
Yeah, Adam's working all the time.
All the time.
All the time. All right, so let's just jump back into the music now. So we got some audio narration. You guys heard just a little bit today, but we'll kind of go through a variety of them. Maybe we won't play through, from start to end for every track, but we'll play, a good way through. I don't know.
I think that would probably take about an hour.
It'd take us way too long. So maybe we can play 30 seconds to a minute or so, and then we'll jump to a few different tracks.
What would you like to hear? Would you like to hear some of the
Well,
stuff from?
So let me quickly see if I can pull up. Just want to make sure it's actually popping up. Nope, it's not popping up. Hold on 1 second. Let me see if I can change this real fast. So everyone hang on. Nope. That's not it. And it's jumping all over the place there. Okay. So what I was trying to do here is pop up the picture of our world. Nope. Oh my God. All right. I'll keep working on it and see if we can do it. We'll just play some tracks, but basically a lot of the world is kind of defined within the different states of the world of Tanares, right? Now, there's more in actually the entire world or planet of Tanares than just the continent, right? That's mostly what you guys have been seeing and focused on. So there is actually some tracks that are for a different region, specifically one that our main antagonists are from. That personally I loved, and maybe we start off with that one, and then after that, if there's any regions, I know plenty of our backers here are familiar with some of them, like Mystical, Yama, Tavas, the capital, Ragenhart. Will kind of jump around.
Sure.
So
All right.
let us know.
Yep. I'll just go ahead and mute myself again, and then I'm gonna go ahead.
Perfect.
Yep. All right. One moment. All right. I think I'm gonna start with one of my favorites, and we'll just go with Regenhart or Regenharat. Uh,
I think you have to stream it first. Oh yeah, there it goes. All right. So just to kind of quickly talk about that region, so that is kind of I wouldn't say remote. It's a little more remote part of the map. It's on like the northeast-ish part. This is the location of the Crystal Tower for anyone that's familiar. This is a very ancient building in the world, and it's actually an area where a lot of the wizards and more magic users meet together. So there's quite a bit mix of cultures there as well. But anyway, that's just real quick there on the Regenhart area, I think is how it's pronounced, but even I screw up the names as well.
Yeah, and where would you like to travel to next? Do you want to go over to Autumn? Or... Yeah. All right.
Let's jump to Tomb.
A tomb.
Yes. Yeah, I messed up that name too. So Otum is an area where I believe more of kind of like the farmer class people, some of the more I think even some of the halflings in the world live. So it's in some ways I guess you could kind of compare it in some aspects to the Shire from Lord of the Rings. So that's kind of the idea that we were going with that specific track.
Yep. And I think that it's very it's powerful. You know, it's powerful in its own way, even though it's very calming. But it works very well with the narration. Although I will suggest that we kick it up a notch and maybe take a quick aside to the ocean. What do you think?
Sure, go for it.
All right.
So the Storm Ocean, that is probably one of my favorite tracks. Definitely up there on the top, like 3, I'd say. Fantastic track there. As you can imagine, right? High seas area. You're getting pirates. You're getting, even some with the Iron Hand army and the army that's resisting against the Kemet. There will be naval battles that do occur. So I think there is some of those that occur in this region. So that is definitely a favorite of mine.
Yep. Definitely a very exciting sound, and I want you to know that I'm trying to queue up ones that kind of personify the area. Sure. Each area has more than one track, but
sure.
They're sometimes they're flavored one way or another, and oftentimes a lot of the stuff that we deal with in the narration is people having conversations, so we do have to kind of keep some of the music onto the lighter side so you can hear it, but then there's a ton of battle music too. Yeah. So that being said, is it cool with you if I show the demon battle music?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I knew that one kicked up a little bit more later. I just couldn't remember how far into it went.
Yep. The time signature on that one's really cool. And again, I'm guaranteeing that the stream isn't doing that one justice. The bass in the floor
Yeah.
of my house, it just set my dog off. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
Do you have the Darkall, the Kemet's Homeland track?
Yeah. I believe I do.
That's also one of my favorite ones. So, for people that don't know, the Kemet came from a different continent, which is called Darkall. And there's story elements that you'll see as you are playing the game, but was super stoked when Adam showed me this track, because I was like, this is fantastic. And I love that the Kemet are kind of getting their own side to the story in some ways through this track.
Absolutely. Yep. I'll cue that up right now.
So that one is, I'd say it's a little bit slower, right? Because you're just slowly kind of building up. You're
Yep.
kind of unveiling in some ways. There's also some implications for who the Kemet are and some of their goals, even. That I feel like kind of is mirrored in the music. Maybe you won't understand right where we're at now, but once you start playing the campaign and what they're trying to accomplish, some of that goes. But anyway, I love how it just builds and builds and builds, and the complexity of it just continues, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, by the end of it, it's a pretty crazy experience. And also, it's kind of interesting because you guys are hearing these tracks as completed tracks, right? As if maybe at some point, if there's enough community outreach and demand for it, I suppose is the word, we'll put a soundtrack together or something. But as it stands, the way that these tracks were actually designed is from a technical aspect. Each one of them kind of has different pieces that we needed for different parts, but they all needed to be part of the same thing. So there's actually a couple little pieces that we're going to be using like on a loop, or we have some pieces that are what's called a stem that we actually have plans for. So some of the pieces that these songs are super adaptable, and it's a pretty rare thing to hear how it goes from, you know, that to hearing it in a fully realized track. For instance, like in the Storm Ocean area, some of that more adventure-y kind of harp and the downbeats, those are stripped off and then put behind things, and you'll notice that that track is disassembled and reassembled in different ways to make different soundscapes. And so these tracks are really beautiful from a technical level, if anybody's interested, but they're also really beautiful from just an end-to-end track as well. So pretty cool.
Well, and I really hope people do ask for soundtrack, because that's really what I want as well. So please, everyone, let them know how you feel about these tracks. Do you have? Let's see. I was trying to think of maybe one that might be a little bit different. How about?
Olbjorn is pretty different.
That's actually what the one I was just thinking of.
Or do you want to do Sevaton?
Let's do Kjolbjorn. I think I like that one a little better.
Yeah, you got it. Sure. That one is pretty cool.
Awesome. And that one also is another one that grows, and you're hearing more of like those kind of like primal voices as the track goes on. So Kjolbjorn, I believe, is more kind of what's probably the best way to say it. So more of like a not I'd say it's closer to like a Viking-ish feel of some of the people there. More.
Well, actually, one of the main focuses when we were kind of writing that is using a lot of if you want a little bit of background about how the track was built. So that one was based upon an instrument called the hurdy-gurdy, which is pretty prevalent in a lot of pirate music and Norse mythology music and stuff, like when you watch Vikings and whatnot. But we also did something really interesting, which is we use a lot of Egyptian scales. And so that wind instrument that you're hearing there has a little bit of an Egyptian quality to it as well. So it's it's got a lot of, unique development that kind of went into that. And because I know a little bit more about the story than you guys, I don't want to share why I did that. But I do know that there is a very good reason I did that, and it'll make a lot of sense when you get to that point.
Oh man, awesome. So we are at 1:59 here, about to wrap up. You want to call it here and just wrap it up, or you want to do one
Yeah.
more?
I mean, no, I think I'm happy to say that, there's a ton more tracks for you guys to listen to. I hope that you guys do go out there and, rally the troops, as it were, because the fact is, Fisherman's Wharf is under an attack, and that attack is, we need money to make this damn thing as awesome as possible. But it's been a really great experience working with James so far, and Alex and all the guys from Dragori. They're super intelligent humans that have a ton of vision, and I want to make sure that we are doing it right from our end. Forteller Games, we do a ton of different things all the time. We're always looking to push the limits of what's possible within audio narration, and I think that we have some really exciting games on the horizon as well. So if you do enjoy this kind of content and you do think that this is something that adds value to your gaming game space, well, maybe the next game you purchase might be something that also has narration. So if you take a look through our library and you find something you like and you have a question, feel free to reach out on Discord. But I will tell you this, every game that we have in our library is fantastic. They're all super fun. They're all really well-made games. They're all to the level of quality of Tanares, where it's storytelling and world building and just a lot of fun. But not all of them are dungeon crawlers.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's been a very rare experience to be able to work on a game like this, and I'm very excited to see what you guys do think of the final cuts of narration. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit longer before everybody gets to hear it, but once it is done, I promise you that you'll be impressed with what you hear, and James will be there for you every step of the way. We just want to thank you guys for having us on the channel to discuss this stuff with you. It's been really nice to be able to kind of have my voice heard, even though you guys probably just heard a bunch of my sound work, but it's not necessarily how I truly feel. So it's been nice to be part of the Discord. So thank you for having us here, James. And
thanks for coming on, Adam. It's I think helped enlighten a lot of people about what Forteller is, what they're providing, because there's only so much that we can really do by just even having, showing some of the small samples and then just like the graphic on the page, right? So hopefully for anybody else, and, of course, like everything in crowdfunding and the game space in general, the only way people know about this is if you guys go out there and help spread the word as well, right? You share the video, you let people know about the campaign, you tell people just, when you're playing games about Forteller, and that, makes everyone more aware of it. So anything you guys can do, of course, we really appreciate. I appreciate, Adam appreciates. I think that's pretty much it for today. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Adam, thank you again. This was a fantastic experience, and I hope people really love those music tracks because, the narrations, of course, are fantastic as well. But I have already fallen in love with the music, but it's okay. It's gonna be there for both. So.
Oh yeah, no, that's the exciting thing. And if you guys are out at Gen Con for whatever reason, please stop by the booth and say hello. I'm thinking James will probably be there demoing some stuff. I'll be there, and maybe you'll even meet my friend the Sad Skull.
Yes, the Sad Skull. There's a little bit of a story behind that, and maybe if you come to Gen Con or you join the Forteller Discord, you may be able to find out a little bit more about the Sad Skull, and maybe if I can convince them, maybe he could make an appearance or something in Tanares. We'll see. I'm not promising anything, but
it should be a barrel of fun. But yeah, as always, dude, it's good to see you. And I hope that the community out there, I hope you're all having a wonderful day or a wonderful evening.
Yes.
And we'll until the next exciting episode. That's me logging off.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks everyone. We'll see.